Blackness, a sharp gritty scrape, the sound of a match being struck in the void. A single match, flame burning bright orange, trembles in agonizing slow motion. A man from above, the strayed piece on the fire. He moved downstairs. It's Dan Keaton. Sweat and grim streak his face. He is shackled to a metal pipe on the deck of a ship. His brace comes enraged. Panicked gasps, a gunshot unlocked. A gasoline leaks followed by an intentional drop of the lighter by the faceless shooter it lands. A thin shimmering trail of gasoline ignites with a hungry whoosh. The flame arcs through the air. It kisses the fuel trail. Fire erupts, changing toward the ship like a rapid beast. In New York City 6 weeks back, in Mr. McMahon's house, gun pointed on his head. They awaken him from his sleep. Him not giving a shit ignores them with carelessness, which they took him by force out of his bed. Their second stop was in John Hawkins' garage, which they took him from there, and the third guy continued. The fourth was Keaton. From a dining area of meeting a man's eye, wide with primal terror, he excused himself and left with the New York Police Department. All of the five was behind the glass to be interrogated. They were asked to repeat the word, "Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker." They were all having fun, smirking, laughing, and mesmerizing at the confidence on them. Defending their right, on Keaton's turn, he got punched on the face. All of the five of them were locked up in a room, arguing and discussing, questioning Keaton that they heard that he was dead, and joking around with his wife. It feels like there's a rage between them, despite they were all having fun, in doubt of who did this if it doesn't feel like a police station. Their case was an hijacking. Munchkin proposes that he has a plan of work, which Keaton strongly disagrees, aggressively that he wants nothing to do with them at all. In San Pedro, California, long ages, rotten dead bodies drown out from the ocean. The police reporting to the agent so far that 15 dead bodies are found, and more to go, with 2 survivors only. There is a face of curiosity on the face of the FBI agent, which is cigarettes tucked in. At the police station, an interrogative discussion leads on the boat, recalls the moment of the first minutes where the black faceless shooter shoots on Dion Keaton. The agents storming the hospital to question the survivors from the ship. Though they can't communicate, the survivor rumbles and shouts words in Hungarian language. In the police station, Verbal, one of the five, was the one suspected that knows all. Offline of the protocol, he was called in the office to be interrogated. Meanwhile, Verbal is not cooperating, talking about shit that has nothing to do with what he was being asked about. They tried their best in questioning him asking for cigarettes while recording him, but a flinch from Verbal. They even tried to get him scared, but he doesn't get it, letting them that now he's not a rat. As Keaton was out, his wife was there, discussing with him about the meeting of the investors he left her with. It didn't go as planned. She asking him not to give up on her, he hugged her with a slight forehead kiss, seeing his surrounding, that all the 4 are glazing at him from an angle. Verbal invading the privacy of Keaton at his home, asking him to work with them. Forcefully, Keaton gives him a punch in his stomach, which Verbal smirked, and they negotiated on the money that they were getting. An airplane landed, and in a highway where cars ran along, the roads were closed, were all 5 smugglers in place, with each at their best. It was Keaton's job to do the final work. They surrounded the cop car with a black van, breaking the front glass, taking all the money and paper. They shouted hard. They sprinkled gasoline and sparkled the car with a lit fire. After they leave, the police immediately arrived. After all the chaos, they celebrate together, communicating to lay low by moving to another state, leaving his wife. In the scenes, as Verbal was giving his word, he told them that Keaton retired for his wife, the agent dismissively telling that this is bullshit. The chief narrates back to Verbal that the Keaton was years ago dead, leaving no hint for his witnesses. At the hospital, the left witnesses start snitching with an interpreter. Even with the fear, the guy in bandages speak that the devil is the one who kills everyone there. It continues. Agent Juan pressuring Verbal to explain how the lineup of criminals came together in New York and was co-occurred into the heist in Los Angeles by the mysterious figure Keyser Söze. The witness in the hospital testifies that he saw the faceless dude lighten up the cot, which they all with excitement told him to express what he saw, with the girl sitting down preparing to draw it. Verbal strongly testifies that he saw Keaton being dead, but the cops of guard, being mad, intensely shouting at him, thinking that he was covering up something for his friend. He starts to scare him that the world will know his name. Verbal neat as a killer. Looks like he's scared. Verbal says that there was a lawyer named Kobayashi who has something to do with this, but Verbal again assures that Keaton is dead. Meanwhile, the cop nods back at him to convince him by telling every point of the story. Verbal starts narrating. In a wilderness, some man starts to exchange some things. It was the 5 team who's what's so-called the lawyer. He offers them a job, they start negotiating on some heist. Dean Keaton goes back to talk to him on his own, asking about some person that they had in common. Keaton wanted to change and leave without no theft, but McManus on his head, he can't. A car hijack starts going on its own. Keaton was mask on, all of the 5 team looking out their back. As he was shouting on the one in the car was the case, he hesitated, and they opened fire. McManus shooted on the rest. They dropped dead. Keaton was shouting at one of them with case. Verbal stepped in and shot him, dropped dead on the forehead. Everything was a mess. They expected money in the case. The so-called lawyer stepped in to see. They were all eager on what he had to say. McManus even prepared a gun in case, but the lawyer were careless enough. He threw his cigarette on his face and told them that his boss wants to see them. Both their teams pointed out gun on each other. The cop tries to connect the dot that the lawyer came from Redfoot. That black DEA agent from the investigation of the dead corpse came in telling them that they don't need to look for nothing, and that the half-dead man was testifying, and the deal was not about drugs, rather of money for something they couldn't figure out. Only few key people knew about it. The DEA asked if Verbal mentioned Keyser Söze. The cop marched in and shouted at Verbal if he knew. Flashback to the team meeting, they were arguing to figure out who and what was following them. Some older man starts explaining them and introduces himself as Kabayish and that he became top proposed something about a work and they require some work. He exclamates on the fact that it is a high risk where they some thought may die, but the ones who survive will get $91 million. Verbal's eye widened. Keaton asked for he worked for. He answered it was Keyser Söze. He implies it was an order. He reminds Keaton he undergoed a car heist in 1918 and the cargo was lost, which was destined to be Mr. Söze's, which contained a high nuclear reactor for Pakistan, which was worth a lot of money. He continued saying the car hijacking they were doing was almost all precious things of Söze. Each and everything he was mentioning was all connected to the 5 team members, and they were all betrayed and stole from him. So he mentions that they owe Söze. One of them pointed a gun and asked how they would know if it was really from Söze. But he was so calm in replying that they have a person who can testify what they did on the killing. Verbal continues his narration that they couldn't figure out who Söze was. Verbal said something about what he believes. He spoke that some thieves came at Söze's house. When they couldn't find him, they raped his wife and killed her. With violence, they also slaughtered his child. Söze watches his family and immediately shoots his family dead, and states that he would rather see his family dead than living another life like this, and let the left Hungarian thief to go. That was the reason he became evil. He killed parents, thieves, anyone who come on this path. He come to be the person, bad stories that scares children. The black DEA and the rest of the cops in the meeting trying to figure out what was going on. Verbal and the cop are negotiating. The Verbal is scared, the heat of Keyser Söze. The thing they're doing, no holding in the police is short term. The moment that he is out, he's sure he can kill him. Nothing that they can control. On a boat hiding of Verbal neat, Deon Keaton walking on board, McManus holding his shotgun, and some man meeting him half the road, with Deon circling him. Deon asking if something was wrong. Orders was transmitted. One of them on board was questioning all the things. McManus targeting a bomb hit, and on point a bomb exploded. Gunshots everywhere. Everything was a chaos. Verbal's point came. He was scared to act. Gunshot exploded. Dean Keaton shooting from the back to save his friend. It was a jaw-dropping moment. Inside the boat, there was a guy scared of what's going on, shouting that it is Keyser Söze. Inside the boat, swarming around, brave was Keaton and McManus. Red light deep, McManus petting a dog, furious to detect pointing his gun. That frightened old man was true. He starts to tremble as sees someone on the door with despair. Verbal hiding with his gun, Keaton calls him. McManus came through the door on his front, and when they saw it, it was a knife stabbed on his back neck. While Keaton was trying to check McManus, the faceless dude with black clothes shooted him at the back. Keaton fell on his back, Verbal watching hiding. The cop shots at him That was if there was something hiding. He swears that he saw Keaton being shot. The cop talks against him, why he didn't help his friend since he had a gun. He claims that he was scared, that he wouldn't shoot. On the boat, as Verbal was fleeing and hiding, the man in the black suit's firing the lighter and shooting again and again on the head of Keaton, and lighting the gasoline that bursted on the boat. Now the cop starts narrating that the mastermind of all this was Keaton, not Söze Caesar. It wasn't Söze who asked them to kill, rather the reason he gave money to Verbal and the reason he made him leave the boat late was because he wanted it that way, not because he was his friend. He stated that Dion Keaton was Söze Caesar this whole time. Verbal lost his mind when everything common point on his head, that he used all of them for himself. Verbal denies everything not to believe, questioning why him. The cop replies because he was weak, stupid, and crippled. Verbal testifies crying, believing that it was all Dion Keaton. What a strategy. Verbal left the office with despair, heartbreak just like that. As the cops were sitting down, Juan, who was interrogating Verbal, dropped his mug as if something hit him. Rehearsing what Verbal was saying, it was all thing that was written on the wall of the office. It was all a made-up story. It was not Dion Keaton. It was Verbal all the way playing around everyone's mind. He ran all the way calling his name. Just like that, that cripple who acted like he knew nothing was Keyser Söze.